Our next session is going to be short, sharp, and timely. Money, mind, and metaverse. Three words that shape where finance is going, and three words that deserve a voice who actually lives in them.
Right, and before we call him on the stage, let me give a brief introduction of him. Ladies and gentlemen, CA Nikhil Singhal is a distinguished leader in the global banking and the wealth management. He is the managing director and the national manager in the global private banking HSBC India. He also served as a director head private client businesses HSBC India, where he had led the high net worth client segment across the country. With over 2 decades of the rich experience, he has held senior leadership roles with the renowned institutions including HSBC, Standard Chartered, Citibank, ABN AMRO, and the ICAI Bank. He is an alumnus of the prestigious IIM Ahmedabad and also holds the BTech Honors degree from the National Institute of Technology, Hamirpur. Please join me extending a warm welcome to a dynamic professional and inspiring leader, CA Nikhil Singhal. I want to have that louder one, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will keep this short, but coming after Ms. Amrita is always a very tough, challenge because she spoke really well and spoke from the heart. First of all, I want to just say this. This is a very special occasion because when we started discussing this with Ajay about 3-4 months back, we'd never envisaged we'll get to this stage. So it's really, really commendable for ICAI UK to conceptualize this right from scratch. We are very happy with this because we would like to claim that we were one of the early partners to sort of help put this together. So HSBC per se is delighted to be partnering with this event. Today has been a very star-studded day in terms of conversations. I must say that it was an absolute pleasure to hear Anil Agrawalji speak from the heart. Only bit that I have to caveat this is, for us, 2 plus 2 still continues to be 4. We cannot alter this one bit, and all the more so in HSBC, you will expect exactly what we speak. On the UK FTA, I think it is again phenomenal, the deal, and we heard a lot about how it's ready to fructify. Clearly, the corridors are going to offer great opportunities, not just for businesses, as also for individuals in terms of investment opportunities and ideas. And of course, Anand Rathiji spoke so well about the India story. Now, I'm not going to take away too much of the thunder and the points that he spoke at length about, but I just want to touch upon a few things in terms of, because it's the Indian diaspora, we just felt that we will keep it relevant for them, because while they're invested in the host market, which is UK, they also have a very strong connect back home to their home market, which is India, right? And it's reflected in some of the numbers. If you look at how the remittances, and I want to start with the real data. Remittances in India last year from Indian diaspora worldwide was close to about $135 billion, right? $135 billion is like a very, very large number. And if you look at the spread of it, it's literally from all across, whether it's the farthest, which is the US, to the UK, to the MENAT, and we have a lot of people from the ICAI Middle East chapters as well, and so also from Asia, which is Singapore and all. And clearly, if I look at the story, money always follows where the returns are. You can't do just for the love of the country only. And it's visible. Go back to 20, 25, 30 years back, these numbers in terms of remittances were rather measly. And we would like to call it that this was more like a sustenance money. So people wanted to go overseas, they wanted to find avenues for growth, personal growth, and they would send money back to sort of sustain their family at best. I think in the last 10, 15 years, we've seen the mix change dramatically. It's now capital flows which are coming from people. These flows are then we're going to see, and which is where. But the question then is, why? And I will take cues from how Mr. Rathi spoke earlier today in terms of the growth story. So we're all a classic number. I mean, 10 years back when we spoke about financial inclusion in India, and we all heard about Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile, etc. Right? A lot of naysayers would have said that those are junk accounts. The balances in those accounts today is close to about 3.1 lakh crores. Now, let's simply say this, maybe it's the social factor, but look at it from an element of capitalism, and since we have all the CA fraternity here, the cost of funds of these balances is circa of 2 to 3%. It's the cheapest cost of funds. Now, any of you in the high net worth segment will ask for the highest deposit rates, which in Indian market will be 7 to 8%. And ma'am, you were a banker as well earlier, right? The fact is that rich people ask for the highest amount of cost of funds. But this money is organically growing month on month, not just reaching the last mile in terms of the direct benefits transfers, but it's also providing a very good cost of funds, which supports eventually the corporate sector, the industrial sector, etc. So that, to my mind, is the indirect benefits which are coming in. India is now the fourth or the fifth, I mean, numbers keep changing based on currency, etc., but fourth, fifth largest economy, fastest growing economy in the world, right? So bound to attract money, but it's still fairly, I would say, it's not still getting its dues. I mean, if you look at the ratings, etc., we are not the true ratings that we should deserve. If you look at, I mean, earlier sir spoke about the market, I mean, the debt to GDP ratio. We are holding at around, at a much lesser number versus the Western world. Now, if we were with that kind of debt to GDP ratio and the Western world, we would have been actually much worse off. The fact today remains that I think 2-3 structural things that we've done very well is taming inflation structurally. Right? When the whole RBI Amendment Act, we used to be a country with 10 to 12% inflation numbers. And I like to say this, we were 8% plus minus 4% band. Right? At any best scenario, we were 6%. And in a not so good scenario, we'd be 12% kind of inflation. I think the whole targeting of inflation put the framework very well when we moved to 4% plus minus 2%. Basically, higher the inflation, higher is the depreciation of the currency. And I think we put that structure in place over the last 10 years where while the currency will depreciate, it will depreciate at a more predictable band. Now, unfortunately, last 6 months have been 7-8 months because of the tariffs or the whole rush to acquire US treasuries has been sort of damaging and not predictable, but largely rupee has been a fairly stable band. The other big thing when we look at the growth of the country at a structural level is the IBC framework, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. The fact remains that it's probably the single biggest factor which has brought in the sanctity of the capital structure. The bankers or the debt capital never takes risk. It's the equity capital that takes risks. And if things don't work, it should be allowed to fail. This was an inverted capital structure for India for the longest time. And we feel that with that correction, now there are obviously gaps, etc., some of those, but with those corrections, structurally we feel that we've solved for an issue, and we see companies is bound to fail, right? You had a Lehman Brothers in 2008, but it was allowed to be administered and failed in a very controlled manner, and which is where you have to protect as per the capital structure. And that's been another big piece for us. Lastly, manufacturing. Of course, with the tax rationalization and the PLI bit, we have for the last 35, 40 years been a very gross underperformer on the manufacturing space. That is now changing at the fastest pace. Areas that you've identified about 14 odd, which are now transforming very fast and which offer opportunities for you to attract a lot of capital, right? That takes us to the next, with that backdrop, clearly there is every reason for money to be pouring into India. Now this is where, when you're the mindset part of it, right? One part of the element that I spoke about is how the sustenance money of NRIs has now transformed into being capital flows of NRIs, right? They're all investing in India. Where is the money going? The money is going into real estate, money is going into listed equities, money is going into unlisted space as well. So no more are you, because of the distance, and somebody spoke earlier today in terms of how fast the world's sort of collapsing together, no more are you disconnected with what's happening back home. You are able to spot opportunities, and I think that's where people are becoming. Capital is today very clearly not bound by proximity, but it's backed by where do you see the best returns flowing in. And that's where some of these markets, like India, is offering great opportunities. Now, for instance, the best case scenario, and the bane for India, of course, is the currency depreciation, and which is where Honorable Prime Minister has now recently launched the Gift City also. Last 3-4 years, it's taken a lot of shape, which allows you to invest in your choice of currencies, whether it's the dollars, the pounds, the euros, or the dirhams as well. Now, these are some of the evolving trends, but you don't realize early on, but you're probably creating a counterweight to a DIFC in Dubai or a Singapore booking centers, etc. But the thought process today is to say that, okay, we want to attract global capital. We want to, at the same time, allow resident Indians to access markets globally, because there are going to be points in time where an X market is more attractive than a Y market, and we have to be very clear, and this is where we fall front and center into your lab. The CAs determine where the funds go, right? They are the ones who not just manage their monies, but manage the monies of the clients. Whether it's the tapping into the Indian market or Indian monies flowing overseas and finding their destinations, I think that's the real challenge which is emerging in terms of tracking various markets. The other big part is about taxation and this whole regulatory framework, which is also because, as you're tapping into markets across the globe, the complexity of the products increases, but complexity of regulatory framework also increases dramatically. And which is where I think somewhere role of professional setups like the ICAI bodies or the role of bankers to work together for the common good of our clients comes in. I think with that, I don't want to take too much time. I just want to leave a very brief message with everybody that when HSBC, UK and India joined together to partner with the ICAI UK chapter, our basic objective was very simple. You serve your clients here in the UK, as also you serve your own personal interests. We are very happy to partner not just for your local needs here in the UK in terms of, this is our home market actually. So HSBC's got a very large franchise in the UK, and as also in India. And we're happy to work and partner with you to serve you in the local market for any of the wealth or business requirements, as also for anything that we can do for you in India. We are heavily investing in the market. In fact, in the last 10 years, we're the only foreign bank who's got licenses to open 20 new branches in India. So we're expanding. We had our best ever year worldwide. HSBC globally made $33 billion of PBD in 2025. This, despite the fact that it's been globally a very challenging environment. So we continue to stay committed. It's a 170-year-old bank focused on legacy, focused on long-term relationships with clients. So very happy to partner with ICAI UK. It's their first annual conference, but I must say that we've been working with the ICAI chapters in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and also with the ICAI India chapters for a very long time. So thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be associated with ICAI UK's first annual conference. Thank you.